here. We're back with another edition of the Hammer Fists. It's your boy Sway Mack Sr. I got my guy Eric E. Will here, Rampagefan420. You guys know him. We're here to break down the card as we always do and talk some shit and hopefully make you guys some money. This week we are going to change things up just a little bit. I know you guys love Eric's cheat sheet, and so we're going to incorporate that as much as we can. This is going to be our first time doing it, so bear with us, of course. The information is always there on his page, so you can see it actually on his page. I've retweeted it as well on my page, so you can see it there. So to start off, I'll let him kind of just tell you a little bit about what you're seeing, because you guys can see it on the screen now, and then we'll get rocking with UFC 248.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on, my man. I hope everything's well. And then
Always a pleasure.
thank you. And then as far as the card, everything's basically color coded. And I have a color chart on the sheet. So yellow's cash preferred plays because of limited upside, and also they're fairly safe. GPP for preferred are in light blue, as they're pretty risky. Both cash and GPP are in green. And then GPP only punts are in dark orange. And then I have like the high tier above 9K and mid tier, which goes from 8.9 to 8K. And then low tier, which is basically punts from 7.9K to 6.9K. And so, and then I also have a cash core that I do almost every week. And then a GPP core, which is three fighters that I'll be building a majority of my GPP lineups around. And then also that I have each week I have a little section where the top GPP fights to target, which in my opinion will showcase the most fantasy points for each fight.
Yep. It's all there for you guys. I can attest. I've personally used this sheet in the past. I've known Eric for a couple of years now. I've used this sheet in the past, you know what I mean? I still use it, I definitely still use it and go back and forth with some of my ideas. So definitely take advantage, guys. Hopefully between the sheet and our conversation, you guys can figure out some pivots and some just all kinds of stuff and make some good money. So I'll leave it up just for a second, and then we'll kind of start breaking it down.
So
So
and
one
we
thing.
can dig in more into the sheet as we get to certain fighters too.
Yep, yep. We'll circle back to it whenever we get a chance or whenever we think about it too. So
Yeah,
yeah, without further ado, let's get it cracking, huh? So
let's
first
do it.
up, we have Guido Canetti going up against Batgirl, and we kind of talked about this one earlier, going up against Batgirl Dana. This is a fight that we really aren't gonna harp too much on.
Nope.
It's the first fight of the night. Both of these guys really are garbage cans, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
One of the guys is, he's not on the same 40 side as Yoel Romero. I can tell you that right now. I mean, if you were to look at
Amen.
these guys, you would think one's like 25 and the other one's like 55.
Yep.
So I mean, there's no comparison there. But besides the fact that maybe one of these guys gets a fluke KO and scores 100 points, they're honestly still not even guaranteed to be optimal, because if somebody cheaper than them can get over that, they'll probably
Yep.
outscore them. They're in that weird price range right there. So besides a shot in the dark, I think this is one we're really going to pass on. Anything else you wanna drop in on that? E?
No, but especially on the big slates like this, where we have two title fights and lots of high scoring fights, unless you're making over 10 lineups, I don't see any need to go here. Like, I mean, Kennedy's had what, 8 fights and 7 fights in the UFC, and he scored over 70 points once. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, Pantagruel would have scored around 70 if he won the decision his last fight. So, I mean, that's not going to get it done with Mearshart right there, with Wynn, with Oliveira, with Griffin, all those guys around there. It's not going to score that well.
Yep, I totally agree. And I'll tell you guys right now, I'm playing. It's pretty crazy. We are recording this. We are recording this the day of, so it's pretty crazy that all the tournaments filled up pretty quick. I'm usually able to get in quite a few,
No,
pretty
seriously.
earlier in the day, so I was pretty surprised about that. But yeah, so I'll be playing about 30 to 40 still if I can get it in there. I'll tell you guys, like if I have any like 5% or anything like that, it's gonna be because the optimizer just gave it to me. If that happens, I'm not gonna deny it. I'll ride with it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's about it, guys. So yeah, we'll move on. Next up, we have Jija Chikaze. Hopefully, I said that right. Versus Jamal Emmers. This is a featherweight fight. You got Jamal minus 172, and then you got Gija at plus 144. At least that's what I'm seeing here on FC. Gija is 7,700. I kind of like the price, and Jamal is coming back at 8,500. They're both not terrible, you know. Um, I'll just give a little bit of how I feel and just my little breakdown, and I'll let E go ahead and go on this one. And maybe we can circle back to the cheat sheet on this one a little bit too, because I know he had something on Emmers there. But based off of what I could see, man, I think Emmers really should win this fight. Chikaze looks like he's more of kind of just your stand-up kickboxer. You know, he wants to get in there, mix up with somebody who's kind of gonna do that with him. And I don't think that's really Jamal's game, based off of what I can see.
No.
He's a finisher. He's looking for the takedowns. I think he's live for the sub here, to be honest too. So at
Yeah.
8,500, I think we get a discount on that, especially with what we talked about earlier. You got two title fights. You know they're going to be heavily owned. You know that's it's not a surprise. You're going to have to take some shots, and I think we get a nice little discount on what could be a massive score here, and at just the second fight of the night. What do you think, E?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, the only thing we really have to worry about in this fight is if Emmers decides to strike with Chikaze, which
Yes.
sometimes in the past he's had some brain farts and decided to do that. But it's not like Chikaze has insane one-shot KO power. Like I mean, he's a former Glory kickboxer, but it's not like he's some KO artist. I mean, Chikaze was taken down what 4 times by Brandon Davis in his last fight, and Emmers is, I mean, a million times better grappler than Brandon Davis. So
Yeah.
I think he should be able to get takedowns at will. He should be able to pass guard at will. I think he can land ground and pound, and I think he's very live to a finish, specifically a sub. And I actually have him in my GPP core, and I'm going to take a stand, and I'm probably going to have him in probably close to 50% of my lineups.
Atta
But
boy.
there is also, like I said, there's that chance that Chikaze he stands and Chikaze just cracks him good. I mean, Emmers was KO'd versus a lower level fighter, head kick KO'd in the Contender Series, but I mean, anybody it's a flush head kick, they're probably going to go down besides Romero. So I think
Yeah.
this is a great fight for Emmers to shine in. But I mean, if you're making multiple lineups, I don't mind having a shot with Chikaze.
Yeah, one thing that we haven't been talking about too much lately is these inside the distance odds, because they're really hit or miss, just to be honest with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I will say is this card, it is somewhat telling that this card basically has, I'd say, about four or five pick'ems, which means they really don't know. I think some of
Yeah,
those fights are where we can take advantage of, not where we can say, "Oh, this shit's gonna finish," but it might, and I think we can kind of take that with this because Vegas really has no idea, one way or the other. And when they put their money on the line and they're really saying they don't know, sometimes it can be telling. You got to take it with a grain of salt, but just going along with those lines and just kind of correlating with what he's saying, we get some type of inside the distance prop.
yep.
So I mean,
And Vegas thinks that Emmer's going to win this inside the distance too. He's plus 150 to win inside the distance, and he's plus 280 to win by decision.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. So I mean,
Chikaze's like plus 500 to win inside the distance.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I,
and
I, I really,
Emmer's really should lose here.
yeah. It's funny when I first looked at the fight, because I always just look at the fights initially without any research, and I'm just like, okay, like who is this guy, right? So I'm like, yeah, Chikaze's probably he should be able to style on this guy on the feet. And then I started to look more into it, and that's just not the case. I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
On the
Like
feet, he like,
if you're getting out grappled by a guy like Brandon Davis, like what's a guy like
yeah,
Jamal Emmer going to do to you? Right?
yeah, seriously, yeah. So
So,
pretty quick, I changed that around. And yeah, I mean, the only thing that is, I love the 50%. The only thing that might stop me from going that high, is maybe like Lee, because I think he's
yeah,
kind of like, just some of those guys. But I'm definitely gonna have a good amount of ownership to him too. So I'll be riding that with you, brother.
nice.
Yeah, man. So, all right. Next up, we have Emily Whitmire versus Pollyanna Vienna. And this is another one that we're kind of going to just breeze by, guys. There's not too much here for DraftKings purposes that we really want to harp on. They're both 8,100. It's basically a pick 'em. And it's really just a fight that I'm not interested in and that we're just not really interested in. Emily Whitmire did miss weight a little bit. So, that's a little alarming. But I mean, Pollyanna, she's kind of fraudulent too. So I just think this is
Yep.
going to be 3 rounds of just, them not really wanting to fight each other. And, you might get some significant strikes from these girls, but I don't think it's going to be anything to move the needle. So do you feel the same way, E?
I completely. I don't have either lady on the cheat sheet. And
Yeah.
when I make the cheat sheet, it's usually for, like, say if you're making like 25 or under lineups. So if you want to take one shot, I guess on Viana possibly, because all of Whitmire's losses are by sub, I guess that's fine. But just like the Canetti fight, I have a very hard time seeing this fight finishing an optimal lineup at the end of the night.
Yeah, I do too. Um, I mean, she's not going up against Maya Stevenson here, you know.
No.
So I just don't see it happening. Um, yeah, just don't see it. So we'll breeze past that one, guys. And then next up, now this is a fight that we want to talk about. We have a middleweight fight here between Daron Wynn and Gerald Mearshart. This is I think this is going to be one of the most impactful fights of the night. For one, because it's somewhat early, but also it's one of the fights that we have like I guess it's not a big, but it is a price discrepancy. When you get a guy in the 7K range, it doesn't matter if he's 7,900. That's a discount. He's in that 7K range. Same thing for Daron Wynn. He's low 8K, 8,300. So we get a nice price on him as well. Daron Wynn is the favorite here at -147, and Mearshart is the +121 dog. For me, this one is pretty simple as far as the breakdown goes. I think the book is out on what needs to be done to beat Gerald Mearshart. Pepper him up, keep the pressure on him, avoid the takedowns, and I think you can get yourself a win. We were talking earlier, and Eel talked to you guys about some of his thoughts, but I do agree with him on that as well. I think his mindset is, he needs this win, and I think
Yeah.
he knows it. And if we look past the way he, I guess you could say, let us down in that second fight, because he's coming off of where he's setting records and doing all kinds of stuff, 169 significant strikes, and then he comes back and loses to Darren Stewart. Well, Darren
Missed
Stewart's no
weight too.
slouch, guys.
Missed weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Darren Stewart is a beast. Yeah, but he
yeah,
missed weight, gassed in like 4 minutes,
yeah.
and it was just, he basically pulled a stunt that last fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was pretty bad, and he knows it.
But I mean,
And
saying that, I guess you can make the argument that he should have gotten the decision though. I mean, it was a fairly close fight.
it was, and that's why I say he kind of disappointed, because I was still like,
Yeah.
yeah. So no,
And
I
I mean,
definitely feel you there.
he still scored what, 53 points in a loss at 8,200.
Yeah,
Like, I
fifty-two
mean,
point five.
that's
Yeah.
pretty solid. And I agree with your assessment where you said you just have to stop the shot and walk him down and land strikes. But I would be shocked if Gerald can stop Deron Wynn's takedown attempts. Like he doesn't have very good takedown defense. A lot of the times he'll just accept getting taken down so he can get his grappling game going. And
Hmm.
so I think Deron Wynn should be able to get takedowns at will. I think he could bully Mearshart if he got him against the cage. And I also think that Deron Wynn is very live to hurting Mearshart on the feet, because Mearshart tends to get cracked with overhands, and that's basically
Yep.
all Duran win kind of tends to win. But I mean, Mearshart's definitely live to a finish. He's finished, I mean, almost all his wins he finishes. But I just think this is a really, really tough matchup style wise for him. And Duran wins the second fighter that's in the GPP core, because at 8,300, like if he gets 5, 6 takedowns, a few passes, and ground and pound, and even just goes to his decision, that's still going to be right
It's,
around 100.
I
It's
was
still
gonna
going to
say
be
it's about a
close to
bill.
100
Yeah,
points. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
for
that's.
sure. I mean, he had 6 takedowns
It's,
his last fight.
I mean, it's almost impossible for Deron Wynn to win this fight and not end up on optimal lineup
Yeah,
at that
for sure.
salary. And then
Yeah.
same thing for Mearshart. So like I said, I have Wynn in the core, but I'm only making 20 lineups, but I'll have Mearshart probably in 3 to 4 just in case.
So I have Mirsh. I'll have him in. I'll have him in some hedge lineups for that reason. Just because I
Yeah,
think this is a fight. Yeah, I agree with you there. I won't be going heavy on Mearshart, but man, I don't know what it is. We were kind of talking about it earlier. There's something in the air for this card. There's just something in the
yeah,
air.
there is.
There's something freaky's gonna happen. Just mark my words.
Yeah,
Whether it's in the main event, the co-main,
yeah,
the whole card, shit, like something. It just feels weird. It just feels weird.
yeah.
Um,
And
so
usually these big cards with two title fights can get weird on DraftKings. Like
for sure,
usually,
because
usually somebody that's like 7% owned breaks the slate the first fight of the night. Like it
yeah,
just
yeah.
a lot of the time it ends up weird.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I totally agree with you there. I Wynn's my guy. He's underneath your boy DC. So I mean,
Yeah,
he's definitely gonna want to go out there and put on a performance. And let's just keep it real. Like he didn't look terrible, right? He gassed.
no,
Essentially, is what happened, and he still had 6 takedowns. But I mean, they were
yeah,
sluggish based off of what I can remember. I mean, he got him. So the guy he can score. He didn't even. I think he
yeah,
only landed like 20 significant strikes that fight, but because of all those takedowns, he still put up over a 50. So yeah, I think
yeah,
he's definitely
exactly. Yeah,
somebody you guys are
he
gonna want.
landed 29 fights. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I
All
mean, if
right.
we're being real here, like Mearshart's always losing his fights until he wins.
Yeah,
So it's, you know what I mean. It's not like,
until he catches somebody in
yeah,
something, pretty much. Yep,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
yep, yep. Just real quick too, because his last fight against Eric, man, Mearshart's his last fight against Eric, he he had 72 significant strikes.
I know.
That's
I thought
pretty.
he won that fight.
It was really close. It was really close. Eric's my guy, man. I think Eric was just trying to catch him with that one shot, and when he wasn't
Yeah, that's
really
what it
able
looked
to
like.
do it, it
Yeah,
just turned into one of those big guy sloppy fights. You know what I mean? That happens
I
with these
agree.
guys sometimes. But yeah, that was
And
pretty
then, and
interesting. I
then
didn't.
if we look at it, if we look at Gerald's history too, I mean, I'm like one of Kevin Holland's biggest fans, probably. But I mean, if a guy
Yeah,
like Kevin Holland is taking you down 7 times,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and with
totally.
nine advancements, like, come on. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so
Yep. All right, man. So let's see. Let's see how much I messed this one up. We have Sarpreg Safarov. That's not too bad. That wasn't too bad.
no, you
Going
actually
up
nailed it.
against Rodolfo Vieira. This is one of the most lopsided fights on the night. The
Yeah,
most predictable, I guess you could say. I know he's not at this odds anymore, but what we're looking at here is a minus 769 for Rodolfo, and coming back, Safarov is a plus 518. I think that's come down a little closer to about 500, right? 520 or something like that.
yeah.
I
I
can
think
take a look real
I'm
quick.
looking at 5 times. He's minus 580 right now. A lot of money's
Yeah,
come in on Safarov the last 2 days.
yeah, yep. Yep. That's what I see too. So, and I mean, you got 9,300, you got 6,900. This one's pretty simple for me. Vieira is the play here. There
Yeah,
is an inside the distance prop. It's like minus 1,000, but I mean, no, it's minus 400. But I mean, that's pretty damn high. Um,
and I think he's
I
like, isn't he like minus 300 to win by sub?
I actually didn't see that. Is that what it was?
I'm looking minus 220.
Yeah,
215
yeah.
minus 215.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's like don't overthink it, but he's 9,300. So do you really want to put all of your money in the pot into him, and you're going to have to avoid Israel. You might be able to get a little bit of Wiley, but that's going to take up basically a lot of your cap. You're going to be looking for dogs there after that. So uh, do you really want to
he's
do
probably a
that
better
for
cash
him?
play.
Oh,
He's
for
probably a
sure.
better
Yeah.
cash play.
Yeah, I see.
And
I'm sure you
he's in the
got him.
cash for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's in the
Yeah.
cash for it. Like I would play him in cash over Izzy and some like all the other
I
9K
would too.
fighters.
I would too.
But like in GPP, like let's say he scores 95 to 105 points. Like I don't think that's gonna win your GPP.
Nope, not even. It's
And
it's
I
not.
don't think. I mean, the only time
Not at
Safarov's been
9,300.
subbed, yeah, like Safarov's never been taken down in the UFC. Like he was submitted versus Tyson Pedro, but he took Tyson Pedro down and then got hit with a Kimura. So I mean, Like I think he's very safe for the win, but I just don't know if he'll be able to outscore some of the other high scores in that range.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so that's that one, guys. Next up, we have Austin Hubbard going up against Mark Madsen. We'll try to speed it up for you guys. Sorry, too. We don't want to make it too long. I know me and E can talk forever, especially on
No,
these fights.
seriously.
So, so we'll try to tone it. But we're moving and grooving. So yeah, we have Austin Hubbard going up against Mark Madsen. Madsen is minus 216 from what I'm seeing here, and Hubbard was the plus 175 dog. I imagine these odds are probably a few days old, but still, we'll give them to you. 7,200 for Hubbard, and coming back Madsen is 9K. I'll let you take the reins on this one.
So, I mean, Mark Madsen's a very accomplished Olympic wrestler, really high level wrestling, strong, quick reflexes. But on the regional scene before he got to the UFC, he was basically just a can crusher. And then, I mean, his UFC debut versus a guy like Danilo Benuardo, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but I mean, he ran through him, but everybody in the UFC should run through that guy. So, and with Austin Hubbard, had a really tough fight with Davi Ramos, who's an unbelievable world class grappler, but really hung in there, fought out of some tough positions,
He
landed
did.
some good strikes on Ramos, especially down the stretch. His next fight had a really rough first round on the feet, but got his wrestling game, grappling game going, and really poured it on the last two rounds to win a dominant decision. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick Austin Hubbard to win this fight. I think Madsen probably has a big first round with takedowns, gets 3 or 4 takedowns, maybe gets a pass. But Hubbard doesn't really accept bottom control. He's going to make Madsen work. Madsen doesn't have the best cardio in the world. He's 35 years old. And I think there's a very good chance Austin Hubbard can just wilt him the last two rounds of the fight. So because of the takedown upside, you probably should have a couple Madsen lineups. But I also do think Hubbard's very much in play as well, especially at that low salary.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I had the sheet up on the screen as you were talking as well, so people could kind of see that and formulate that as well. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And at 7,200, like even in GPPs now, we do want to win these tournaments, but let's be honest as well. If you throw him in a tournament at 7,200 and he gets you a 60 or something like that, a 50, a 60, you're not gonna win any tournaments,
Yeah.
but you probably should still be cashing. So
Especially if Joanna and the UL lose.
for sure, for
But
sure,
they'll put you
for
way
sure.
ahead of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I agree with you there, man. I agree with you there. And
But
Madsen at 9K too.
I like him. I like Madsen more than a guy like Sean O'Malley just because like we don't know what we're gonna get
Sugar
from Sean
Show.
O'Malley after his suspension, and like it could easily take O'Malley a round and a half to get going with his range and his strike. So I wouldn't be shocked if O'Malley only drops like 75 points in a win. And I just think
Yeah,
that Madden has much more upside because of the wrestling.
yeah. No, I agree, and that's actually the perfect segue because that's the next fight here. We got Cunhos versus Sean O'Malley, and I saw here that is your fate of the night, and I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, the guy is exciting. He's playing Fortnite and all kinds of stuff. Like he's a cool guy. He smokes, right? Like we all can kind
Yeah.
of relate to the guy.
Yeah.
Um, he's not the stockiest of guys. He kind of is out there, just a little guy, a skinny cat, just knocking cats out. So I mean, fuck, he's a cool dude, but he had a long layoff, man. He had a long layoff.
Yep.
And yeah, these young guys, even when they get laid off for what he did, might not affect them too much, but still, it's a long layoff, and he's not going up against a slouch here. This guy is gonna fight him, and at 9,100, I don't think I just don't feel good putting my money with him right now. Especially like you said, he's probably gonna need that first round to get popped a couple of times, get back and just get that feel for what I mean, getting hit and getting
Yeah.
back in the octagon. I've been told, especially from some of the fighters, it's much different when you're training, right, and you're sparring, or even when you're like heavy sparred and getting popped up. And you get in that octagon, man. After a while, it's a different ball game. So I agree with you.
Especially for a guy like O'Malley who's a rhythm striker. But like once he finds his groove, that's really when he gets going. he doesn't just like the first 30 seconds of the fight, he's not out there like going crazy. He's kind of trying to get your timing, find your range, all that. And with almost 2.5 years off, I think it's going to take him a good full round for him to get his timing, get the range and whatnot. And like Teko Canales has really good footwork. He has underrated boxing, good leg kicks. He has underrated wrestling as well, and I wouldn't be shocked if he can land some takedowns on O'Malley. So I mean, this fight as a whole, I don't really have much interest in at all. And
Yeah,
I think O'Malley's going to be
fun to
pretty.
watch.
I mean, he's O'Malley's pretty popular with the public, so I think he should have some decent ownership. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good fight to fade.
Yep, I agree. He definitely should have some ownership. We were kind of going back and forth trying to gauge ownership. Gauging ownership is so tough, man.
I know it really is.
It's just and then you look at the percentages when they come out and it's like, what's going on here.
Yeah.
But okay, all right, and before we move on to the next fight, there actually is some breaking news and some that may be important to some of you, probably not to most of you, but still some breaking news that we need to talk about because at the end of the day, it is going to affect the card. What do we got, E?
So it looks like the horrible weight cut that Emily Whitmire had caught up with her, and she's been rushed to the ER, and her fight with Polyana Viana is officially been canceled.
Crazy. And we were actually talking about how bad she looked on the scale. It didn't
Yeah, I
cross
mean, her
my
coaches
mind
had to help
that.
her off. Yeah, her coaches had to help her off. And she looks like a skeleton. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think it has a huge effect to tonight's card, but it's still
Mhm.
worth mentioning.
Did you happen to retweet that on your page or anything like that? Just maybe so I can
Not yet.
pop. No.
Let me.
Okay.
I'll go do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll just pop it up for people just so they can see it. But yeah, that is pretty interesting though. We were talking about how bad she looked on the scale that the coaches had to help her off. But
Yep.
it's like and I kind of made fun of her a little bit. Now I feel bad, but I was like, oh, she kind of Aspen lied at us. But that's because Aspen always comes to fight after, so it's
Yeah, exactly.
but
Exactly.
that's hopefully she's okay and yeah,
Agreed.
that's tough. That's tough. So yeah, we'll get that up, and I'll eventually
I
once
just
E.
tweeted it.
Okay, here let me just so you guys can see it real quick, get that validation, and then we'll keep moving and grooving. It like you were saying though, it wasn't a fight that yeah, here we go. It
Mm,
wasn't a fight that that I mean we actually just spoke about fading it completely. We didn't even
yep.
really talk about it. So, but yeah, here's the tweet for everybody who kind of wants to see it here. And yeah, there we go. All right, so next up, we'll talk about a fight that is going on and is taking place, and that is going to be the Max Griffin versus Cowboy Oliveira fight. Now, based off of what I am seeing here, this was the last one that, if you want to call it implications, it had some type of implication, but -110 isn't much. But there's a chance that somebody might go to sleep in this fight. Is basically what I'm saying. Um, what do you
Agreed.
what do you think on this one? E?
I agree. It's just a tough fight to call overall because Oliveira is probably the better fighter and like more dangerous fighter, but he's looked awful his last few fights, and he's seems like he's kind of quitting himself as soon as he's been put in a bad position. I mean, but Max Griffin, he has good boxing. He's a pretty tough guy, good cardio, has good takedowns, but he gets rocked in almost all of his fights. And I have a hard time thinking he can make it through 15 minutes without getting cracked by Oliveira. But I mean, there's also the good chance that Oliveira's completely past it. He has legal issues going off outside of the octagon. He just had his 11th child, so who
Yeah,
knows
like think
exactly?
about that. Holy shit.
He's the Sean Kemp of MMA.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
seriously.
so it's like it's just hard. It's hard to tell. I mean, he's what 3 fights in a row now that he's looked pretty poor. And Max Griffin, that's a must-win for him. If he loses, he's getting cut. So I
Yeah.
slightly lean towards Oliveira, and I like him more for DraftKings because he obviously has a better chance to finish. And Max Griffin, I don't think he's ever scored over 80, 85. So my pick's going to be Oliveira, and he's preferred on DraftKings. But I don't, I don't think he's a must play.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Do you one thing that was interesting is Do you think that because of recency bias and just because of his age too, like do you think it's that's kind of just more so of what's going on? I mean, he's been through some wars, man. Cowboy's been through some wars, man. Because I don't really think Griffin is as far as talent. If we're just looking top to bottom, this is a step down in competition for him, right? Like this is a
Yeah,
step down in competition for Oliver. But is it really? If we're not talking about that famous MMA math, like is it really because of kind of what we talked about? What do you think?
I agree. And like Oliveira is like a good case of a front runner. And like as soon as the fight starts turning in his opponent's direction, he almost tends to look for a way out of there. That's happened in his most recent fights. It happened versus Yancey. And honestly, I think that fight took a lot out of both Yancey and Oliveira because both guys have looked horrible since that fight. So, but just based on pure talent, this is definitely a fight that Oliveira should win and possibly finish. But I mean, like I said, I think there's a chance that he's past it. And Griffin's a tough dude, and like, at least he may
Yeah,
not be the most talented, but at least he's going to fight for your money,
he
and
really is.
that
And he's
might
only
be that might be enough.
Yeah, and sorry guys, he's only 7,800. Max 7,800. You got Cowboy Oliveira coming back at 8,400. And the odds on this one right now currently I'm showing 5 dimes at -135, and they have Max at basically plus the 125. So there's that. But yeah, this is a fight that I think as far as me personally, like I said, it depends on how many lineups I can get in. I'm I'm gonna kind of try to stay away from this one for the most part, just because I don't think
Yeah,
I'll be able to get there. I'm not gonna force Oliveira in my lineups, and I'm not gonna force Griffin in my lineups. Is pretty much what I'm saying, guys. So
agreed.
there's that. But yeah. So and next up we have one of the it's one of the fights I'm looking forward to because I love me some Lee. Magny's been a
Yeah,
little bit but man, I love Lee, man. He gets dropped. It seems like almost every fight, but
I know,
he's
seriously.
dropping. But he's gonna drop you every fight too, right? It's
Yeah,
like
he's a maniac. Yeah,
he's a maniac. So I love watching him fight. But yeah, so we have Lee who is 8,600 on DraftKings. You got Neil Magny who's 7,600 on DraftKings. So there's $1,000 difference between them exactly. Right now I'm showing -165 for Lee, and then you have Neil coming back at +155. This one's pretty cut and dry for me. I think Lee's the play here. I like his price point. I don't really like Neil Magny, but he can do something fluky here, and it might be a fluky card to be honest. But if I like to talk about form sometimes, and it's a soccer term. But like I said, it does go hand in hand sometimes. But like he's just been in bad form, and I think he's just getting worse, to be honest. Um, and Lee, he's coming off of that big win. I just think he's going to be my play here. 8,600. I like the price tag. Hopefully, we can get something devastating and early, and we can make some money off of it. What do you think on this one?
yeah, it's an interesting fight. Obviously, Lee is extremely dangerous, and I'm definitely going to have some shares of him. But I feel like he's being a teeny bit overrated in this spot. I mean, Magny's only losses in the UFC since 2015 are to Damian Maia, RDA, Ponzinibbio. And I mean, those are all three world class fighters. I think I picked Magny to win, but that's me thinking he's going to go in with an extremely wrestling heavy game plan. But I mean, if he gets cracked on the chin a couple times by Jing Liang, I don't think Magny is going to be able to eat them. So I'm probably going to
Yeah.
have more shares of Jing Liang on DraftKings, but I think Magny makes a possible sneaky low-owned GPP punt pivot play as well,
Do
because
you?
when
Mhm.
he can rack up the takedowns, and he does land a lot of passes and ground and pound when he does get takedowns.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and if we're looking at some of his victories, yeah, he had the decision win where he didn't do much. I mean, he's had some wins where he didn't do much, but he's putting up 148 significant strikes in some of these fights. He can get there. I mean, that was that Lombard fight, but
Yeah,
he did have 100 that next fight. Or the fight before against Gastelum. I mean, so he can put up a big score, and I think he is going to get overlooked here. People are probably going to think a lot more like me, and am. It's more of an eye test for me, just based off of what I'm seeing and based off of this specific. um, matchup. But he is live here. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, and Jing Liang did look impressive in his last fight also. So I think it's hard to go against him, but I just think Magny might be a little bit too crafty.
Yep, yep. Just that veteran savvy. You think
Yeah.
might be enough?
Because like a guy like Jake Matthews was too crafty for Jing Liang. And I guess Matthews and Magny fight somewhat alike, especially when it comes to grappling. So I think there's a path there for Magny. It's going to be hard for him to avoid the power shots from Jing Liang.
Yeah, yep, yep. I think so. I think that's kind of what it's gonna come down to, and also we're getting to that point in the card where there's only three fights left. So it's definitely gonna get down there. So yeah, we can keep moving and grooving. Now, next up, we have Beneil Darush, and this is kind of an interesting fight. The fact that for to me at least, that they kind of put it so close, which is ironic because Jakar's name is close. But seriously, that they put it so close to the main event, it's just kind of interesting. I mean, I guess I could see why, but I could see maybe that Lee fight being here too. So yeah, just an interesting little note there. You got Darush who's 8,700. You got Close coming back at 7,500, and right now Jakar Close is closing at the plus 165 dog, and Beneil Darush is looking at he's gonna finish about the 175 favorite. That'll go up and down. But yeah, this one, I mean, Darush is definitely going to be the play. Jakar looked good though, man. Jakar's definitely looked good. He put up
Mm-hmm.
95 DraftKings points in his last fight, but besides that, he's really not putting up a lot of points in his wins. So it's going to be hard for me to go there kind of that late into the card. Um, but what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I completely agree. And starting with Close, he has looked very good recently, and he's a really solid fighter. It's just it doesn't translate to DraftKings. I mean, he's had what he's 5-1 in the UFC, and he scored over 74 DraftKings points once. So I mean, he has wins of 74, 68, 63, 59, and then 96. So I mean, it's just if Jakar had more KO power, I would be more interested because the issues with Dariush's chin. But the last time Jakar Close got a KO was what 6 years ago on the regional scene.
Yeah,
So and
yeah,
just if we
not
just
even
look at it
that.
from I mean, I know Dariush has been KO'd multiple times in the UFC, but in my opinion, he's still one of the most skilled fighters in the division.
I would
And
agree.
we all know how elite his grappling is, and I think that's going to be enough. I on the cheat sheet, I have him marked down as a cash play only, just because Jakar Close is extremely tough to finish, and I think the Dariush's upside might be a little bit limited here. But
Yeah.
I think he's pretty damn safe for the win.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with kind of everything that you said there. Here's the cheat sheet back up for you guys, so you can take a look at that as well. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just yeah, I just don't see a path to a high score for Jakar, because if he does grind this out for 3 rounds, he's not gonna be peppering Beneil up for 3 rounds. That's not
Yeah,
what's gonna happen.
no,
It's so yeah. I mean, I definitely agree there. And all right, now up to the co-main event, we have one of the title fights here, and def. Gosh, I just got to say this real quick before we break it down, because it's I find it interesting that the UFC kind of cares more about. I don't even think it sells more tickets, man. I don't really know what it is. Like, I guess Joanna is in that spot where she's gonna beat everybody below her, but she's not gonna beat any of these top girls. I feel like
agreed.
it's just a weird spot. But it's like we're tired, like I don't know. She doesn't really. It, I can't say she doesn't deserve to be in this spot, but I will say if she goes 0-3 in these last three title spots where she's not the champion, of course, I don't think we see her getting another title shot for a long time. What do you think on that take, real quick?
I agree. I think it's you can make the case that this is probably her last chance at a title
Yeah,
because she's getting up there in age. She seems like she has more and more interest outside of fighting now, especially like doing modeling and Instagram stuff like that. Like,
yeah, that
and
seems
it
to be the
just
wave, huh?
and it's just like these other ladies who are hungry, young, up and comers. They just all they want to do, all they have in their heads is fighting. especially a savage like Willie Zhang. Like, I mean, this girl is just a monster. She's insanely strong, extremely good grappling, great takedowns, great top control, heavy hands, great in the clinch. And I think Joanna will be able to have some
Heavy
success.
hands.
Yeah, like I think Joanna will be able to have some success in this fight, but eventually I just think that Willie Zhang, the whole package is just going to be too much. I think she can get takedowns when she wants. I mean, Joanna's been taken down over like 27 times in the UFC. I think she's going to be much stronger. I think she could bully Joanna in the clinch, and I think she can knock her out on the feet. And Willie Zhang is actually the third member of the GPP core
Let's
to
get
go
it.
along with Duran Win and Emmers. So I'm extremely high on her in general. I'm extremely high on her in this fight. And then in cash, I have the Joanna and Willie Zhang stack in the cash score to go with Vieira. Because, I mean, this stack should get you, I would be shocked if it doesn't get you close to 150 combined points. And I mean, like, when I'm stacking in cash, I'm looking for 120. I know some people say 100 is fine, but I think you really need more to 120. And I mean, if this goes to a decision, I mean, Joanna could realistically score 75 points in a decision loss. So I think it's definitely a fight you need to stack. And I don't hate stacking it in GPP, but I would only do that if you're making multiple lineups.
Yep. Nope. I totally agree there. And I mean, we get Wiley at 8,900. You got Joanna at 7,300. Joanna, she's really just volume, right? She's
Yep.
volume, and back in the day, these girls they could not handle that volume, is
Yep.
what it was. And then eventually, the power would sneak in there after so many punches to the face. That'll happen to anybody. So no,
Yep.
I think this one's pretty simple for me. I think we get a discount on Wiley as well, as she's not over that 9K range. Makes it easy for us to kind of load up on her. That's what I'll be
100%.
doing, and that's what I think you guys should be doing. So
Like, even if she
that's
wins a decision, she's probably going to score over 100 points.
yep, no, totally, yep, I totally agree. And next up, and last but not least, we have the main event. We have Israel Adesanya going up against Joel Romero. This is definitely Israel's toughest fight that he's had so far, and rightfully so. I mean, everybody thought that Robert Whitaker fight was going to be his toughest test, but we knew that he was kind of going to run through Rob, man.
He
Just
made
Rob had
Whitaker
a
look like a regional fighter.
Yeah, Rob had a lot going on too, man.
Yep.
There's just a lot in play there, and I think this is Izzy's time, man. I just think this is Izzy's time. Now you always say that until one of these guys gets dropped. It was Cyborg's time before Amanda made her look
Yep.
silly out there, and then it's Amanda's time. But
Yep.
I just think Izzy is, every time I watch Izzy, I just find out something new about him, like holy
Agreed.
shit, like damn. And that fight he had against Robert really showed off his defense. I mean, that pullback hook, oh,
It was
holy
beautiful. The way he
shit.
rolled with it was beautiful. Yeah.
It was beautiful. So I think he's just gonna be too much, but I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna have 100% on this fight. Um,
Yep.
I, I'm not sure which way I'll go, but I can tell you that every single one of my lineups will have one or the other, and these guys in it. Would you say the same, E?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I'm making 20 lineups. I'll probably leave one without it in case something weird happens. But besides that, it's definitely all in fight. And I will say that I was much more confident in Adesanya winning about a week ago. And then this fight week is kind of messing with my head because Romero looks great at weigh-ins, like, finally. And he just also seems crazy motivated because as this is probably his last shot at a title. And I think, like, yeah, Romero can probably get some takedowns, but I think if he's going to win, it's going to be by KO on the feet because he does hit hard as hell. But I think Izzy is going to be able to read him like a book after the first few minutes. And then once he finds his timing and distance, I think Izzy's going to get Romero out of there probably late second round, early third round. But I wouldn't be shocked if this goes to a decision, as if Adesanya played it safe. And I mean, Yoel Romero has scored what 75 and 90 plus points in his last two losses,
In
which
his
is just
losses.
insane. Yeah, which is insane. So obviously, you need to have a good amount of exposure to Yoel, but I'm gonna have more shares at Adesanya, although not by as much as I thought. I
Yep.
like
Yep.
I like Adesanya more than guys like O'Malley. I like him more than Madsen.
Yep. And I think it's just this is just a fight for the ages, right? Um,
Yep,
it's the best fight on the card, and it's a title fight. We're gonna get 5 rounds, maybe. I don't think this shit goes 5 rounds, but I mean, it's just this is just kind of one of those all around greats. And Adesanya, I think, is putting a lot of pressure on himself to win this fight. And we were talking
agreed.
about it earlier. It's it may be a different kind of pressure, right? Like pressure to him
Yeah,
might not be very much. He might have just thought about it once and that be it. But still, it might be a little bit of pressure. And if we just want to go back to recent events in that Wilder Fury fight, man, I mean, all the pressure was kind of on Wilder. I think he showed it. I think you could see that Fury was just looser, right? He
yep,
and I think that's kind of what happened. I think that tightness eventually will overcome you. So, but yeah, I think that's about it.
agreed. It's gonna be an interesting card. It's a lot of fights that could go either way tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we were talking about it. It's got a feel to it. We might see some freaky stuff here. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting card. And hopefully towards the end of the night, you guys are up in that green and inching your way up. I know we're kind of putting it out there a little late, but it was really in just enough time. We were able to catch the news about that fight kind of being taken off. Everybody else who already has all their content or everything out, they're gonna, probably wasn't too much in play on that anyway, but they might have to change some things or just let you
Yep,
guys know some things. So our content's it's fresh and right on the button right now.
yeah.
Um,
Just make sure you get Viana and Whitmire out of your lineups.
100%. Get them out. Get them out. Get them out. If DraftKings doesn't let you know, make sure you're listening to us and you get them out of there.
Oh,
Um,
and real quickly before we end, as far as DraftKings go on the cheat sheet, these are the 6 fights that I think are going to be the highest scoring. So, and where you should target for your GPP lineups, it's Adesanya versus Romero, Zhang versus Joanna, Emmers versus Chikazi, Win versus Mearshart, Oliveira versus Griffin, and the Magny versus Lee are the best GPP fights to target, in my opinion.
Yep, and you're here. The sheet is up right now, so they can see that. And like I said, if you want to get a hold of the sheet, just go over to Eric's page. I just pulled it up, kind of straight from there. It's at Eric Will 04561815, and you can get the sheet there.
Yeah, if you just search for Rampage Fan 420, you'll be able to find me.
Yep, and I any last words before we let them go?
Good luck to everybody. I hope you may guys make some money, and I'm pumped for the fights tonight. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't get that super early card. It's still gonna be it's like a 6 or 7 hour card, guys. So
Yeah,
there's time. But yes, fights start at like 6:30 Eastern. So you got time to kind of do whatever you got to do, hang out with the fam, and then come back and check some fights. So thanks for sticking with us, guys. You'll definitely catch us back at it again, and hopefully you guys make some money. We see some green screens, and let's do it. That's it for the Hammer Fist this week.
peace.
Peace.